Everybody, Colin here, and we are in my garage, my humble little shop here that is often messy and usually extremely disorganized, so get ready for a lot of that. So why are we in the garage? Well, I want to try and do some small projects on camera, kind of just to document some of the stuff I do. It's no secret that my life is pretty much absorbed by racing or cars or just doing mechanical kind of stuff. And I want to kind of try and share some of that with you. This is not necessarily going to be a walkthrough video of any kind. Like I said, it's more of a documentation of the stuff I've been doing. So let's get right down to what we're doing. This is a S13 240SX dashboard. This one is completely stock, obviously out of the car, and missing the vents. But this is exactly what they all look like, especially any of them from anywhere where it's sunny and hot. There's deep cracks all the way through. All the vinyl has just gotten so brittle that it cracks all over the place. And there's basically nothing you can do about it. You can probably get them recovered in vinyl, but you're looking at hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get this redone, and that is crazy. Nobody would have that done, especially 240 people. We are very cheap. So I kind of saw something on the internet a while ago about suede flocking, and that is a process of you grab material. It's a process of applying suede fibers to a surface using adhesive and a special application gun that I have, also back here, that will apply the fibers to the dashboard. But before we can do that, I have to get rid of this vinyl and smooth out the surface and make it a hard surface again, because you've got to apply the suede to a hard surface, and underneath this is foam. Let me actually grab the camera so you can see a little better. So there's the lovely cracks I was talking about. They are all over the place, and you can see the vinyl, very brittle. But if we look under here on the side of it, try to get it in focus. See, there's a layer of foam and then a layer of vinyl, and that is all on a plastic mold basically. So what we need to do first is peel all the vinyl off and expose the foam. So here you can see that the vinyl will just peel right back. It pretty much leaves all the foam intact. The problem is some of the more stuck stuff, it seems like when that gets super brittle or baked on there, the glue, I don't know, makes it more adhesive to the foam, and when you have to pry it off with a putty knife, some of the foam's going to come off with it. Did I mention this was going to make a really, really big mess? Because it is. Alright, so now you can see all the vinyl has been torn off the dashboard, and you're left with, well, you should be left with all the foam. In this case, this dashboard is extremely sun-beaten. You can see the difference in color of the foam here versus like here. Hopefully you can see that, but you can definitely see it here, where this is the color it's supposed to be, and this is like dry rotted. It's almost burnt. And as I peel the vinyl off, you can see it takes large chunks of it out, especially where it's super brittle. Alright, so now I have orbital sander. It's just electric. I don't have a pneumatic one, but it would be nice. This one does a pretty good job. I have a 100 grit pad on there. I need to line it up better so the holes actually line up. Not that the foam is a terribly dusty process, but try and control as much of it as I can. You probably won't be able to hear me now, but I'll just give you a general idea as to what I do. The only thing you have to watch out for is not to dig into, like if you go on these weird angles, you'll dig into the foam and it'll just make more work for you. But this stuff's pretty resilient, so it handles being sanded pretty well. So I've got it sanded down good enough. It's not perfect. Like I said, there's still a lot of foam to get out of there. I'll have to blow it off the compressor before I start doing the fiberglassing. But what I want to do first is something I haven't done before. And that is up here. You see where the vents are. Previously I was just kind of filling that whole area in with fiberglass, or I would just, you know, fiberglass straight over it. Like on my personal car's dash, I went over this vent, and I just put fiberglass right over top of it. And when you do that, it kind of divots in, and it made a lot of work to fill it in. And with this huge area up here like that, I want to try and fill it in with some expanding foam. We'll see how that goes. First thing I'm going to do is tape off all of this stuff. Okay, so you can see I just take the bottom side of it up to kind of limit how much foam I have to use. I'm just going to use some spray foam up in here and through here. Trying to pay attention to not blocking these off, but it's not a big deal. It should be easy enough to dig out that foam need be. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with these openings yet. It's going to kind of be playing it by ear there, because I really want it to be a square opening so you can screw down in there nice and easy. Like I said, I've never done this before, so it's probably going to be messy. Alright, got it nice and shaken up. I got my professional spreading tool, because I don't know how this is going to lay down. I should have gloves on, because this stuff gets super sticky, but I don't have any at the moment, so oh well. Let's see. I know this stuff has a tendency to go crazy. Do is, as it's still a little tacky, spread it out in there. It doesn't have to be perfect. There are better two-part foams out there. This is obviously just a general, like, around the house kind of use stuff. But this is all an experiment, so nothing professional happening here yet. These little side pockets. Be a little much there. Looks like it's expanding pretty well in here. Let's see, I put a little bit right there. Okay, so right here, I have put the foam on the foam just to see if it would stick really well, and it does. I mean, I knew going into this stuff is massively sticky, but I wanted to make sure it would stick to the foam, and it's definitely attached very well. And you can see, you can just use a coping saw or whatnot. Cuts very well. I'm just gonna shave it down. You can see it's pretty dense too. I was worried about having a lot of air pockets, but it's probably about the same density of the foam that's on here. It's just a little squishier. But it should help me fill in some of these. Like I had a big chunk missing there. It should help me fill in some of those. Should make a little less work once I get it fiberglassed or resined over. Alright, so now I got that kind of shaved down with just the saw. I'm going to try to use the sander and see if it will smooth out. Yep, that's great. That's something I will definitely be using in the future from now on. Now that whole chip section it's not smoothed out, but it's much less of a divot, so I'll be able to just lay resin over top of it, and I won't have to worry about it dipping real bad. I got some other ones over on the rest of the dashboard now. Alright, so now I'm just going to cut open these squares kind of vaguely. It's going to get fiberglassed over, so it doesn't really have to be perfect. We'll decide what to do with these later on. Okay, well, the foam worked out okay. It's got some divots, some like low spots in there, but overall it should help for what I want it to do. Basically, just make the fiberglassing over top of it easier. I'm using fiberglass material like this, so hopefully I can just cut out a piece that will go across the whole thing. Cut it about here, and then just cut the holes like in a T shape and fold it down so it's got a little bit of support down into them. And that should help with the forming, which is probably going to end up being mostly done in filler, or Bondo, whatever you want to call it. But that's where we stand right now. So at this point I have mixed resin. It's just normal, I believe I'm using actually Bondo brand resin.
and it's a pretty quick setting resin, but kind of easy to work with as well. It's simple to mix and everything like that, so no complaints with that. The fiberglassing part, I will be straight up and honest, is probably my weakest skill at the moment. It's definitely something that takes a lot of practice, and it's only the second thing I've ever fiberglassed in my life. So if you see me doing things horribly wrong, that is why. But overall, it's not that important. Really, all I need to do is cover the vent area. The rest of it I can sand down and smooth out in the future. And that's the way it worked at my previous one, and hopefully this is the same. Alrighty, so as we wrap up this part of the project, here is where we stand. The entire dashboard is covered in resin. I will probably be doing one more coat to some areas that are a little thin, like on the sides here. Just enough that I have, yeah, under here definitely needs some more. Just enough so I have some material to sand through to smooth it out, because as you can see, I get a right angle here. As you can see, it is very rough and definitely in need of sanding. It's basically like doing body work on a car, so you just gotta get it smoothed out. I'm gonna sand it down with orbital and then start using basically body filler to smooth it out even more. We gotta work on these notched areas that I mentioned before. I was gonna fold down into there. I ended up not doing that because it was just too difficult to fold it down in there while it was wet. So I will have to figure out what to do with those as we go. I'm starting to think maybe circles instead of squares, like drill a circle in there that can reach the bolts. I don't know, we will find out. And I've got this seam to worry about. You can see there where the fiberglass ends and it just turns to resin. So I don't know how difficult that's going to be to smooth down, but we will figure that out in the next part, which hopefully will include the actual suede flocking process. So look forward to that.